Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just looking at the gallery here to see who's on the call, and it looks like all of our counselors are present, and our staff that need to be here. We have Michelle Hendry, our CAO clerk. We have our fire chief, Bob Whitman, and we have John Jackson, our planner. So I think without further ado, we'll get started. I will call the meeting back to order. We did have a closed session just before supper, and we had about 10 minutes to grab something to eat, and we're back here. So if I could call the meeting to order, we'll start with the national anthem.
Please let me know if you can hear this.
Can't hear anything yet.
Can you hear
There
that?
we are. So we kind of lost the end of O Canada. Sorry about that. We seem to keep having technical difficulties with getting us on the air, but
did you hear the first part, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we did. We hear all except for just the last little tiny bit.
Few bars. Okay, well, we'll keep working at it.
In any case, I will proceed with the Indigenous land acknowledgement statement. The municipality of Whitestone recognizes all of Canada resides on traditional, unceded, and/or treaty lands of the Indigenous people of Turtle Island. We recognize our municipality on the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory is home to many past, present, and future Indigenous families. This acknowledgement of the land is a declaration of our commitment and collective responsibility to reconcile the past and to honor and value the culture, history, and relationships we have with one another. I will now ask councillors to declare any pecuniary interest. And hearing nothing, let the record show that none was declared. Our next item is item 6, which is approval of the agenda. Could I get a mover and seconder for the agenda as circulated, please?
I'll move, Councillor McEwen.
Thank you, Councillor McEwen, seconded by
Mr. Mayor. I had circulated an item earlier if we were able to add it, because I wasn't sure if by November 1st it would be too late to have it part of our newsletter.
And you were suggesting that I'm sorry, I did see that. You were suggesting that it would go under
Maybe under business matters?
to where, well, we can, yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at the agenda. Do you have any suggestions, Madam CAO, can we put it, or Madam Clerk, can we put it as 14.2 then?
We could do, we have a 14.2, we could do a 14.3.
I apologize. We do have a 14.2. All right, well, perhaps we'll I'll just stick a placeholder in here. So we have a 14.3. And so if the if the mover is agreeable to amend that, that the agenda be approved as amended with the addition of item 14.3, would you second that? Councillor Gorman Matthews?
Yes. If that's okay with Councillor.
Councillor McEwen, are you okay with the addition of that item?
Yes, I'm fine with that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The agenda is moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition to approving that as the agenda? All right, thank you very much. Before we get to item 7, we do have one item, which is a matter arising from the closed session that we had previously, and it is simply to approve the minutes of the closed session on October 1st. So could I get a mover and seconder for that, please?
I'll move.
Councillor Gorman Matthews, seconded by.
I'll second Councillor Lamb.
Thank you, Councillor Lamb. Any discussion? All right, anybody opposed? Thank you, that motion is carried. So we have 2 delegations this evening. The first one is by Dr. John Brennan, who is going to talk to us a bit about NOMB decision 1303 and the history around the situation relating to Tamarack Trail, and then make some requests of council for that would be relevant to our official planning going forward. I believe our CAO has got his slide presentation up on the screen. So welcome, John. Thanks for joining us, and please proceed.
Yeah, thanks very much. Michelle and I are kind of doing a tag team on this because although I'm reasonably, I've never actually controlled one of these on a Zoom call, so she's going to be kind of helping me with this. I first want to start off by saying that this story has been 21 years in the making, and as I go through the presentation, I'm fairly critical of some actions or inactions along the way. They have nothing to do with the current council. I'm just trying to lay the groundwork for trying to move forward productively with basically private road issues. And so I want to be clear that I have no issue with current council, and I'm bringing this forward. Where this flows from is this OMB decision back in 2006, when I did take the municipality to the OMB over the zoning bylaw. And I'll sort of stop with that. I'm not actually going to do every slide. I did give all of these to Michelle prior, and there's some interesting history there. Some of it isn't really relevant to what I really want to speak to tonight. If you're interested in the whole history of Amarak Trail, then by all means read the whole thing. But I'd like to pick it up at slide 7, Michelle. So we're basically on a private road system on Amarak Trail. In total, it's probably between 4 and 5 kilometers. And initially, none of it was municipal. Eventually, the first sort of 800 meters did become municipal. That's a different story. But early in the 2000s, I noticed that there was a road being placed off of the private road. And I contacted the municipality, and I was told that there was no knowledge of any road going in off a municipal road. And I was directed to go to the Parry Sound Area Planning Board to see if they had any applications before them. And next slide. Sorry, we should be back at, that's fine, yeah. So I contacted Parry Sound Area Planning Board and spoke with Glenn Robinson, and he wasn't interested at all and said that there was no application there. I felt that people were not realizing that there actually was a road being constructed there, and I retained a lawyer in Barrie, a municipal lawyer, to ask him what my rights were, and he did some legal research and wrote to Glenn Robinson and said that if a application came before the planning board, we wanted to know about it. And that letter was received. Some months later, I found out that a consent approval was given for that road that apparently didn't exist. And I contacted my lawyer and said, apparently there's a road and apparently it's been approved. And he contacted Glenn Robinson and said, why weren't we notified so that we could have some input? And the answer was, I had no legal obligation to notify you. So even though I tried to do a civic duty by notifying people and trying to be involved in the process, we were basically shut out, even though I had a lawyer involved at that stage. And next. I spent $8,000 on legal fees, and now there's a daisy chaining of a private road off of a private road. The other Merritt road system is probably another 3 kilometers or so. Neither developer has paid fairly to maintaining this road, and the current road maintenance is done by basically a fractured group of about 35 quite unhappy people, and it's just not an acceptable situation. Next. I approached the people in our subdivision about, what might we do next? And the issue of whether the municipality would assume the road came up, and approached the municipality. And I was told that if we had 55% of the ratepayers agree that they wanted municipal assumption and it could be put on their taxes, that the municipality would proceed. And so I took it upon myself to talk to everybody and try to garner votes. And we actually got 60% approval from our people, signed in votes. And I appeared before council to say I did what they asked me to do, which was to get at least 55%, and we got more than that. And I asked them to proceed with the assumption, and we were all going to take about $20,000 on our taxes to get this resolved. And I was told that they wouldn't proceed because it was 6 weeks to an election, and that they were a lame duck council, and that they wouldn't accept the votes, and that I'd have to start the entire process over again right from the beginning with a new council sometime afterwards. And I was very upset. Next. So I did consult a lawyer at that time, and he said that you could sue the municipality for negligent misrepresentation. And I want to know part of any of that. It's not a way to solve anything. And I basically just abandoned the whole thing because there's no way. I'm a busy physician. There's no way I was going to try to start a whole process all over again after having that happen right before me. Next. So the opportunity presented itself that the official plan, the first official plan for Whitestone, I think came to be in 2005, and the zoning bylaw was flowing from that, and the provisional zoning bylaw was rolled out, and I felt that there should be sections in that zoning bylaw that dealt with private roads, and so I appealed the zoning bylaw to the OMB, and I represented myself. I did it as an individual. I wasn't representing a group. And so there was a few things in the appeal that got resolved quite easily. I focused in on what my issues were with the private roads. And I want you, in the context of what the municipality is going through right now with possible backlot developments, I want you to pay special attention to what my concerns were 15 years ago. Next. So in the section 5 of my OMB appeal, I said that there was, I can't even read my own screen here. I have to move myself off my presentation. So the one thing was that the zoning bylaw did not define a safe and acceptable standard for private roads that service developments or subdivisions or settlement nodes, although the official plan was recognizing that there was going to be a lot of influx of population largely on private roads. And I said it wasn't responsible planning to encourage this type of development without having safe and appropriate road standards that the developers would have to construct to. And next. Again, this is lifted right out of the original appeal. The point 6 was the zoning bylaw was deficient in ensuring that maintenance agreements are legally required to be in place and enforceable if a development is proceeding on a private road. Next. So one of the things that I was most interested in is trying to move forward with limiting the length of a private road that services a development to a certain length, and any length beyond that would have to be upgraded to an assumable standard. And so I had proposed at that time that the zoning bylaw had a bylaw put in that said that the private road could not exceed 500 meters, and all the rest of it had to be brought up to a municipal standard at the cost of the developer and offered up to the municipality for assumption. And we agreed. The next. The resolution was that the right-of-way, the bylaw ended up being section 3.21, and that the right-of-way was limited to 1,000 meters, and anything other than that would have to be at a municipal standard. Next. So this is the actual board resolution of 5, 6, and 7 of my appeal, and that's the actual wording that they wanted in the zoning bylaw. And next. The intent of this bylaw, as evidenced by the language of the appeal itself, was to limit the total length of private roads in a development to 1 kilometer. Any road in excess of this was to be constructed to a standard acceptable for municipal assumption. Next. The current zoning bylaw language is now 3.26A. John Jackson would know what the transition was from 3.21 to 3.26A. I certainly don't know the history of when those changes occurred. And in the end, it doesn't matter, other than the current wording that I could find, instead of being generalized to any private road, ended up somehow being only in a waterfront zone. And I don't think that the current wording of the bylaw is representative of the spirit or the intent of the OMB decision that drove the putting of this bylaw in the first place. So I would submit that it's supposed to apply to all properties, not just waterfront properties. And next. Yep, you'll have to pardon my voice. I've got 4 fractured ribs from 4 days ago, and I'm having trouble sort of keeping up with breathing. If we look at the official plan regarding municipal road standards, it says that over the long term, the municipality hopes to achieve uniform standards for year-round cottage and seasonal municipal roads, and that council will adopt a program prioritizing these improvements as need and funds permit. So this goes back to like 2005, and I'd argue that the long term is now. And if council is considering wide-scale private road backlot developments, there's currently no road standards, and there's, to my knowledge, has been no enforcement of the former 3.21 zoning bylaw or the current 3.26A bylaw. And next. This is just the old Winston Churchill quote of those that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And I'm hopeful that some changes can be made going forward that will allow responsible development to take place and allow the municipality to inherit proper infrastructure that's been paid for by the right people. Next. So my specific requests of council, and again, I reiterate, this council did not create any of the issues, but they've basically been going on since 2000. And I do think council has an ethical obligation to do the following: define private and cottage road standards, define an achievable pathway for municipal assumption of private roads, and enforce the zoning bylaw limiting private road length, and immediately order the Merritt and Hall to upgrade Amarak Trail to the standard that the municipality will assume. And next. And if Merritt and Hall will not upgrade Amarak Trail, then in my view, the private road that Merritt has should be stopped up. His consent approval has lapsed and he hasn't applied for another one. There are no legal rights of way on title for the people that are using that road. And as far as I'm concerned, it's now in breach of the existing bylaw. I would also ask that council suspend any new backlot developments until road standards, maintenance agreement expectations, et cetera, are fully matured and that the commitment made in the official plan is lived up to. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, John. I'll open the floor to questions or comments from councilors.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor McEwen.
Go ahead, Joe.
Dr. Brennan, thanks for giving us the update and a bit of a history. And I did read through the whole article there. In the 7 years I've been on council, there have been a lot of references to Amarak, Hall property, et cetera, back in your vicinity. And you bring about some real good points, and I can really sense the frustration and appreciate the effort that you've put in, both physically and even financially, over that long haul. 20 years is a heck of a long time to be carrying that kind of stuff along with you. I do appreciate the concerns folks have at waterfronts, for instance. If we do go to a backlot permitting scenario, I can assure you that if we do such a thing, we will have to be looking at what's existing in forms of maybe grandfathering, putting specific rules, and setting up some good guidelines to be able to move forward. And I hope it's not only my thought, but the comments that I hear from folks who do live on live or own properties at backlot scenarios, they just like to have the same sort of treatment as people do at the waterfront, which is the right to use the roads under certain conditions and rules and the regs, which in present form are foggy between the official plan and zoning bylaws. And that's what brought this to the surface at this time, to review on a specific basis rather than try to do it at a time of a bylaw / planning official plan total review process. It's such a big process. It's difficult to give an issue such as these proper time and judgment. So anyway, I certainly appreciate your time and effort to put this forward to us this evening.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments on Dr. Brennan's presentation?
Mr.
Councillor Gorham Matthews.
Sure. So I just want to thank Dr. Brennan for being here tonight. I think he's raised some important points. With regards to the private roads, I've been back Amarak and I've been back many other of the private roads, and it's really inconceivable to imagine living year round on some of the safety issues and standards that that these roads present. This winter we were back Amarak and we actually met somebody. We had to back all the way out because there's no space for two vehicles to even safely pass one another. And yeah, I think it's an issue that I think we need to look at in this municipality as more people are turning their sorry, I got a fly flying around here. As more people are starting to use their properties that are on these little roads year round, you know, I think we do have to look at the safety issue and such, and make sure that moving forward, we have fair ways of sharing the equity and having to maintain these roads. I've heard from different people back at Amarak, and, you know, it's definitely a lot of it's one-sided in trying to get funds to maintain these roads and get them plowed, and it's certainly not fair to everyone that's gotten themselves into situations like this. So I definitely don't have the answer of what we should do to move forward, but I'd be interested in hearing from, you know, our planner and what other communities have done to kind of combat these private road issues and making them more equitable and bringing them up to standards that everyone, you know, has a safe way to get in and out of their properties.
Okay, thank you. Are there other comments?
Yeah, Councillor Lamb.
Councillor Lamb, go ahead.
Yep. Thanks, Dr. Brennan, for coming forward. I go back 14 years. I remember when I first got on council. I think the council before me was the one that sort of dealt with this, and I certainly heard. One of the first things I heard about was Amarak Trail, so I go back a little way. So I appreciate what you're saying, and it's always been a challenge. And I know through the years that trying to deal with private roads is a difficult situation. I know, and I've always felt that we have a duty and responsibility to you know, equalize treatment throughout the municipality. I guess the test in my mind is how you achieve that financially. And as you know, I don't know what it would have cost to upgrade your road back when you were trying to, but I would suspect it was probably the better part of $1 million. Well, that now is $2 million and at least, and you know, so you know, it's not so easy as I recall to go out and borrow the money. We have borrowing limits and that sort of thing. So, but I would like some advice from our planner in this whole area to vet your presentation tonight and come back to us at some point with what he thinks on this. I know what we came up with in the interim was a private road grant protocol. And although that doesn't fit everyone, it certainly took the heat off, I guess, through the years as we've given funds to private roads to improve them. And I would say, generally speaking, over the last 14 years or 12 years or whatever since we've had that in, that the private roads are better than they were. So I think that that's a good thing. So Amarak Trail and the merits and the halls and everything, I've heard about, throughout the years. I don't know what the solution to it is, but I hear what you're saying tonight, and I thank you for coming forward. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Does anyone else care to comment on this one?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Councillor Woods.
Go ahead, Councillor Woods.
Dr. Brennan, I'd like to thank you very much. I know I've heard a little bit about what goes on over Amarak Trails. I'm sure most of the people in the municipality have. There's been some serious issues over that way. I feel for you, and I completely understand your frustrations. But I'd like to say thanks for this package. And you've mentioned a lot of things in here, and there's some things in here that I didn't know. And I think it's all good information that we can use when we're trying to make future decisions, especially when we're talking about the backlot development. I'm interested to see what our planner comes up with as a set of criteria that I'm pretty sure that's what we asked for at the last meeting when we talked about the back roads, if we could get a list of criteria and what we could do to accommodate people and see what we could do to help people out. But I'd just like to say thanks very much. I realize that you're a very busy man, and you've put together a fantastic package here with some great information.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I wonder if someone would like to move and second the following motion before we move on to the next the delegation. This is a suggested motion that the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone thank Dr. Brennan for his presentation and receive it for information, and that Council refer this item to the municipal planner and staff for further consideration and a report to Council at a future date. Would somebody like to move that?
I'll move it.
That's Councillor Mann.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Seconded by,
I'll second, Councillor Woods.
thank you, Councillor Woods. Any further discussion? Any opposition to the motion? Well, thank you. I think that's what most of us anticipated would be the outcome of this. But once again, thank you very much, Don, for taking time and for bringing this all to everybody's recollection. And we'll hear more about it at a future meeting.
Well, thank you all for your time. I have the luxury of signing out.
You can stay if you'd like.
Yeah, I know. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, and next on our agenda, we have a delegation from Troy Burgess of the Ardbeg Community Club, and she has a specific request that she'd like to make. So
My PowerPoint.
Troy, please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for having me. Just got my technical assistant doing a PowerPoint here for you. We're trying to screen share. Let me know when you got it. Do you see it? Oh, there,
Yep.
got it. That's given the thumbs up. Okay. So thank you for having me, and I'm here to talk about the Ardbeg Community Center tonight. So next slide, please, Jordan. So as of July 27th, I came on board. I drive by the Ardbeg Community Center twice a day, and I saw that it was being run down and the siding was falling off. I didn't want to see that happen. So I was lucky enough to be voted on as vice president, and now I'm starting the renovation. Oh, just keep on. No, I have to read the thing. I started the renovation process. Just a second, my techie is not very techie. My screen sharing has stopped, it says, Michelle.
Okay, just let me see.
To hit share, maybe. No, there's nothing to share.
You have the co-host permission, so you should be able to screen share.
Okay, we're just starting from the beginning, I guess. There's nothing I can do. Sketchy internet. Uh-oh. Okay, it's just taking a bit for the PowerPoint to come back up. Anyway, I'll give you a bit of the history behind the community club. Well, my daughter's trying to get me back up and on. So 1904, I don't know if any of you know this, but 1904, it was built as a schoolhouse and was a schoolhouse for many, many years. And still the members that are around actually went to school there. And all the women in World War II were getting together at the schoolhouse and making socks and whatnot for the war efforts. And when the men came back from war, they actually bought the club off of the school board and gave it to the ladies to run as a community club. Okay, we're good. And then go to this one. Okay. And it's been run, people would flock everywhere, like from Perry Sound for their spaghetti dinners, for the live music, for craft nights. And the men had a huge workshop in the bottom and made all sorts of crafts for fundraising. So as of July 27th, I've had the health inspector in to give me some advice on what I needed to do to get the place back up and running. So he had 3 issues. There was, because it was left empty for so long, there was a rodent issue. There was a leak in the roof, which led to a mold issue. And the roof itself, and the water issue. So those are the 3 issues. And we've eradicated the mold. And I'm dealing with the mice. So I think it should be okay for the health inspector in about a month. Now we do have roof issues. The roof is leaking. The insulation is wet and it's actually cedar shavings. The bathrooms were not appropriate for public use, and the cleanliness was extraordinary, unclean. And that's just what happened was they made their money from a garage sale and from people donating their unwanted articles, and they'd store them. But what happened was they became a beacon for every rodent that wanted a new house, and most of it was ruined. And then the basement water was too humid, and so there was a few issues there. On the business side of things, nobody had any records of any kind. I went through boxes and boxes and boxes of paperwork, but none of it was for the club. So we have finally found the letters of incorporation, and we're getting all of that underway. Taxes were lacking. You have to report every year, and somebody that was trying to help and keep the place up and running the best they could didn't really have the knowledge base and didn't know that you had to file every year. And then I've also just recently gotten onto the bank signing ability. I'm trying to raise funds, and I'm very leery of any kind of corruption. So I wanted to make sure if I was going to fundraise that I had some control over where the money went. So when I first started looking at the community center, its organization and cleanliness and the clutter had to be removed. I'm not a girl that can work in a cluttered environment. So we had a huge garage sale. I had several volunteers from the community all coming in, and everybody boxed up everything. We got rid of what was garbage, and we packed properly everything that we were going to keep. So as you can see, it went from clutter to it's absolutely clean now. That little table here you see is what I do my business on. Some of the issues I was dealing with were improper storage and no storage. So I'm making a storage room. All of these sort of things are being addressed. As you can see, the black mold on one side and the new drywall. I just finished, just at 5 o'clock, I just finished doing another coat of mud, and that's all been eradicated. And that's with the help of, I like to thank Brian Woods, Councillor Woods, because his family was in the mold eradication business, and he gave us all the equipment to sort of safely do that. So the mold issue is dealt with. The leaks on the one side of the kitchen and the bathroom are dealt with. And now we have the big hall and the roof. As you can see, there was a lot of water damage and a lot of leaks on that ceiling. So what we did is we started ripping it down, and underneath we find this beautiful yellow birch, beautiful ceiling. So my plan is to, if you can see the seams in there, I'm going to make false beams and stain them the same color, and that's going to be our ceiling. So no cost whatsoever. And our kitchen, it was an issue as well, but it's now totally clean. Everything is out of there, and we're able now to paint the cupboards and continue on with our renovation. So as of today, I've reached out to Don Barr and Innisville Steel, they're big roofing companies, to donate new steel for the roof. Ken Taylor, who's a local roofer, has agreed to install it for free. The water issue is being dealt with by our local plumber, and he's fixing he always has donated his time and any product needed to keep the water system running. He's always donated that, C-clamps and little filters and anything to do like wax seals for the toilets. The electrical, I have Dave Mason, he's on Blackfly Lane. Him and his wife have volunteered. Dave's going to do everything electrical for us, plus donate some of the lighting for the hall and some of the ceiling fans. We have Rick Schwartz as a carpenter, and Rick and I have worked before renovating a house, and he'll help me do anything I can't. I'm not a carpenter by any means, but I'm sort of a Jill of all trades. The mold, like I said, we got rid of that with Brian Woods's help, and the rodents, I've put down all sorts of poison, and I haven't seen any evidence of rodents since I put the poison out. On the business side, we are a nonprofit organization in good standing. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent on the phone with Service Ontario, trying to get everything organized and paperwork sent to me. Rhonda Armstrong has come on board. She's going to be doing our books and filing our taxes for us. The TD Bank, we're in the process of getting our small business account updated and the proper names onto the account. We have a person that has volunteered to look into getting us charity status and also to write any grants that I have a plethora of grants that I want to apply for, and they're going to help me do that. I'm also working with Michelle. She helped a lot in the beginning, steering me where to go. I'm also working currently with the library staff. They have a lot of knowledge about nonprofit and the rules. I'm also taking a nonprofit course on how to properly run a nonprofit center. And I'd like to go to the Herdville Community Center too, to see how they run their place. I hear it's phenomenal. What will the future look like for the club? So my vision is to bring it back to life as it was, a meeting place where people came from all over for entertainment, to hear live music, to have dances, to do square dancing lessons. And the Breers have volunteered to do that. I've got a shop teacher from Gooseneck that's volunteered to run woodworking classes, and Home Depot gives huge grants for that. If you share your knowledge and teach people the trades in Northern Ontario, you can get huge grants for that as well. I'd also, an occurrence happened to me a couple of years ago, and I tried to help an elderly lady who had some mental health issues get food, and a public health nurse. I'm a retired police officer from Toronto, and if we came across anything like this in Toronto, all we had to do was call the public health nurse, and bang, 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 everything would be in place. Meals on Wheels, any kind of support they needed, drivers, this kind of thing. And there just was nothing. Meals on Wheels said they wouldn't drive up here. And there was nothing I knew of at the time to help her. I called social services. And I could basically find nothing. So what's happening now with this woman is the paramedics are visiting her once every month, so making sure she's okay. But what I'd like to do is maybe a soup kitchen twice a week or something, like just have something where the elderly can come, be warm, get a good meal, and socialize. And we have volunteers that have said they'll go wherever needed and bring these people to the club. And my husband actually mentioned to me the other day when I was practicing my speech, we're totally forgetting our roots. So as police officers, we always need safe places to stage, or to safe and secure. So, I mean, that's in a hub with the firefighters, the helicopter launching pad, and basically we're at the end of the road. We are the end of the road. The 520 goes no further, and I'm the end resident on Clear Lake. So that's it for us. So our experience is what's needed is sometimes a safe and secure place for police or firefighters to stage or put up their equipment, keep warm, keep out of the rain. So I was thinking as well, we could do that. Again, have the council back for meetings, do Christmas parties for little kids, and do some classes of any kind, like art classes. I'm going to teach art classes. Well, that was my hope, to teach art classes there, and just get it back up and running. Possibly a shelter for anyone that is in an emergency situation where it's freezing rain, or any kind of an emergency situation where you needed a shelter in place. That could be it. We could invest in some cots, and it's got a full kitchen, and bathrooms. So I thought it would be a great place for that. The possibilities to me are endless of what this community center could be again. I'm very, very excited to let you know, I was a little late coming here, but Sound Seal Insulation Company came today at 5 o'clock to the community club. And because the ceiling is insulated with cedar chips, I had a quote for something like $11,000 to get rid of the cedar chips and to foam blow it in. Sound Seal Insulation is not only going to help us get those cedar shavings out, they're going to vapor barrier it, foam blow it all for free, and or sorry, not foam blow, but blow insulation into the ceiling. And they're going to bring it up to the basement up to code. And they're going to foam blow the basement walls, which I thought was amazing. This Curtis was amazing to volunteer that with, you know, no money, no nothing. So what my problem is, ladies and gentlemen, is I want to keep this club up and running for the winter so we can finish this renovation and generous donations from my skilled laborers. And unfortunately, in this part of the area, my skilled laborers are all working spring to fall, and they're free from, you know, the winter months. So I'm afraid we don't have the budget at all to heat the place. So I'm hoping once Curtis gets in here and insulates it, which he says he can do in short order, that we can put our furnace on and heat for the winter. Number one, it's not good to have a building unheated for their foundation. But most importantly, for the renovation and for my good citizens of Whitestone that are volunteering, I'd like to have a warm environment for them to go. You can't paint, you can't glue, you can't do anything in the cold. We do have one tank of oil, and the HVAC system has been inspected, and the furnace has actually been turned on and tested, and it's fine to go. What I'm asking for is $3,000. I know the council gave 3,000 in the beginning of spring, and I truly appreciate that for the hydro and the insurance, but basically that's all that's going to cover for the year is hydro and insurance. So I'm asking the council for another $3,000. I'm hoping that'll I'm in talks right now with Checkers. He's not the most approachable kind of guy, but he seems to me to be acquiescing to maybe giving us a tank or half a tank. But I'd like to be able to heat it for at least December, January, February, and March. And I am estimating with the HVAC guys' help that it would be around $3,000. So that's what I'm asking the council for tonight is if you can find anywhere in your budget for that $3,000. I really feel, and I'm very excited to do this project, and I really feel that it would be an up and moving place and a hub of activity if everything was updated. So that's it. So, and is there any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead. We'll take a few questions. We're running a little short of time, but go ahead, please.
Councillor Lamb, I'll be quick. Troy, thank you very much for coming. I can tell you that your enthusiasm is electric, and I applaud you for what you've done, and I applaud all the people who have been come along over the last few months and are helping and assisting. So I have no problem at all giving you the $3,000. I believe in this is such a wise investment for our community and for an area where, you know, I think there's like 25% of the people in Whitestone live up on Wawashkesh in that area. So I'll gladly give you the $3,000 to keep you going this winter. I would also say to you, and this is only a personal feeling, not the rest of the council, but I think that we should be able to help you out even next year. And, you know, there's things like if you get donations or have a specific project and where people are giving you, you know, donations and money, maybe there's some sort of program that the council can look at to match the funds up to $5,000 or something that we could put into our budget next year to kind of let you build a little bit of monies for the future. So maybe we can look at something like that. And again, that would need council approval. But that's what someone's doing at the nurses station, right? They're giving money and the others are matching. I think the municipality can match and give you that money in next year's budget to help you out. So again, I applaud you. You're doing a tremendous job. Keep up the good work, and it will be my pleasure to assist you in what I think is a tremendous investment for Whitestone and spending our money in Whitestone. Thank you.
Thank you. It's funny you should mention the nursing station, because I do have donors that want to give money, but we don't have a charitable status. And I don't think we should really get a charitable status, because I don't think there'd be that huge of an issue. But there are some people around here that can afford to give a bigger donation, but they do want a charity receipt, I guess. So I was thinking maybe I heard that the town sort of took the nurses station under their umbrella and were able to give tax receipts to those people if they wrote the check to the town. Anyway, I was going to talk to Michelle about that on a separate time, but that sounds phenomenal, sir, and thank you. And it's my pleasure to do it. I love renovating and I love decorating.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions or comments for Troy?
Mr. Mayor, if I
Just
could.
comment. Here, go ahead.
Councillor McEwen was first, I think. Go ahead,
Okay,
Councillor McEwen.
Right, thank you very much for your passionate presentation, and well deserving of that area out there. And it's great to see the people coming together, and especially what's been over the last year or so, pulling together and socializing, working together, and just adding so much to the community through the old school, now the community center. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Woods, were you?
If I could, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I'll be quick. Troy, thanks very much. I mean, I've seen firsthand everything that you've been doing there in the building on my visits by there. Like Councillor Lamb said, your whole attitude about this whole thing, it's great to see. I think it's absolutely fantastic what's going on up there, watching everybody come together to try and save the building and get it back up. I know there's a lot of things that I missed that I used to like going to. The Hunter's Dinner was one of them. And the spaghetti supper was good. And I remember years ago, I actually took my little guy there to see Santa Claus. It's a great spot, and I can't wait to see you back up and running, Troy. And thanks for all the work that you're doing, along with all the hardworking volunteers in the community that are donating their time to try and get things up and running again.
You're welcome, and thank you too for your help as well. And just being a retired police officer for 30 years, it just sings to my soul. All these people that want to volunteer coming, even if it's just, you know, they're so cute. Like some of them are so cute, they can just sand the walls or, you know, just do little things, but they're out there and they're volunteering. Like it's just warms my heart. Yeah. It's really great to see, and one of the reasons why we moved up here to this little town.
Okay, anything, anybody else want to weigh in?
Sure.
Okay, Beth, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to drag this out much longer because I know we have lots of other things to do, and Troy knows she has my support, and I'm, you know, enthusiastic at getting the center back up and running. I think it's important that, you know, everybody remembers that Dunchurch isn't always the hub for everyone. There's a lot of people that can't get out to that area. There's a lot of people that relied on their big community club to be their network and their center. So, you know, I'm totally supportive of getting it back up and going.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't, I won't take time to add any more to what my colleagues have said, but certainly I agree with everything that's been said. And I'm wondering if someone would like to move and second this motion, that the Council of Municipality of Whitestone hereby approves the request from the Ardbeg Community Club for a one-time donation of $3,000 towards the heating cost of the center for the 2021-22 winter season. Would somebody like to move that?
I'll move, Councillor Woods.
Thank you, Councillor Woods. Is there a seconder?
I'll second Councillor McEwen.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. That motion is carried, and Troy, your request for assistance with the heating is granted.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
everyone.
again
Thank you
for-
so much. I'm so happy. Thank you.
All right. We do have a bit of a discussion under the heading of planning, which is really, it's a discussion without a specific motion on the floor. So we should move into committee of the whole. Could I get a mover and seconder, please?
I'll move it, Councillor Lamb.
Thank you. Seconded by,
I'll second, Councillor Woods.
thank you, Councillor Woods. It's 7:37 p.m. Anyone opposed to going in committee of the whole? Okay, thank you. So what we're wanting to do here is to get a little further direction about the general subject of the official plan amendment, I suppose, is the best way to put it. As you know, we've had a number of discussions and a public meeting related to two amendments to the official plan, one having to do with trailers, one having to do with backlots. We have since had some additional requests for amendments which have come from a couple of our lake associations for lake specific things, on Gooseneck and Lorimer Lake. And I rather anticipate that we may get others from other lakes. And we've also had a suggestion from a couple of our organizations that what we really need to do is a major review of our strategic plan, not our strategic plan, our official plan. And I think this is sort of a good opportunity for us to take stock of where we are and figure out what is the best way forward. And I would just say this by way of introduction. I mean, I think we have two approaches that we can take. Approach number one is to continue to work with specific issues that have been identified and bring them forward as amendments to the current official plan without going through it, without, sort of taking it apart. And I would describe that as in a process of incremental amendment. So we make an amendment here, an amendment there, and deal with the issues in isolation as much as we can, or to the extent that we can. And I guess the advantage to that is that we would probably get them done quickly with less effort. The other option would be to say, would be to follow the suggestion that's been made, which is to sort of open up the whole official plan and go through and look at various aspects of it that need to be changed. And it's my opinion, folks, that this is not something that we can easily do by just setting aside time in council meetings like we did with the last official plan amendment. If you recall, it took us a very long time. And we missed a few things in the process. And there's some heavy lifting that needs to be done. So we would probably need to engage planning resources and set up some sort of a task force of a small task force of people to do this, what I refer to as the heavy lifting, which is to take a look at in detail at the various aspects. And we would probably, I suggest we would probably want to reach out into the community and involve some additional people on that task force, not have it as a committee of 1 or 2 members of council. It's a bigger job than that. And so I was hoping that we would have a little bit of discussion and see if we could get any kind of consensus on what people think is the right way to move forward with this. I would anticipate, if we choose the latter, that this will extend. It would extend on into next year and possibly into the term of the next council. So, that's not a reason not to do it. I'm just saying it's there's obviously timing and resource considerations for this. We probably would have to put something into our budget for next year because we would be incurring, I believe we would incur some costs more that are not covered in the current budget. So in any case, I don't know if we have John Jackson with us, our planner. I don't know if John has any comments on what he thinks about those 2 options that he would like to share with you, but I'll open it up for discussion at this point and see if we can come to some sort of consensus.
Just to follow up, Your Worship, on a couple of points. I think there are some individuals, not many, but some who are waiting fairly anxiously for some of these more immediate changes to take place, whether it's trailers or lots of record, and council needs to balance that. I would think that a 5-year review process from start to finish is more likely to be in the I'm going to say 3 to 4 year period rather than sort of the next building year. And again, it's council's decision how they wish to proceed, but there is some degree of anxiousness out there to get some of these spot policy changes done as quickly as possible. And to be fair, they've kind of been brewing out there for quite some time now. So I certainly understand the anxiousness.
Okay, other comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gorham Matthews.
Yeah, so, I think there's some things that have waited too long. For example, the trailer bylaw. We're really getting inundated with trailers all over the municipality. Yeah, I've had so many different people come up to me about trailers here and there, and they're concerned about waste management coming from the trailer, and that there's no regulations, there's no capturing of tax dollars from the trailer. It's just been a free-for-all, and I think that we need to lay some guidelines down, especially on the trailer bylaw, sooner than later, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Councillor Lamb. Yeah, there's a number of subjects here, and if I just might ask a question before I make a comment. We did the last official plan in what year, John?
I believe it was around 2000 and I want to say mid 2000s. If you just give me 1 second here.
2015, 2016, I think.
2016. The mayor beat me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm in agreement that, the trailer bylaw, we've been talking about this thing for 2 or 3 years, and we didn't get a whole lot of input on that when we had our public meetings, but I think we did have a trailer bylaw before, so I think we can move forward in some fashion to finish off debate and get a trailer bylaw into effect in Whitestone. The backlot issue is the same sort of thing. I think where we were heading on that, or what we had asked at the last meeting, was that John Jackson, our planner, take all the comments and sort of come up with some real live criteria by which we can judge this, and we can make a decision on it. So, more or less to take the emotion out of the debate of the back lots and get into real live issues. And I'll leave that up to him to come up with the criteria. But I think that many people a few people have made some great suggestions with respect to what that criteria should be. So I think we should move on and debate that. I have several questions on that I won't ask tonight, but I think need resolution at some point. That I don't think it's the format tonight to ask on that. In terms of some of the other things, Lorimer Lake, Gooseneck, those sorts of things, people have come forward, and if we want to move forward on those are simpler to do than opening the entire plan up. And I just think, I fear that if we open the entire plan, next year, that we're going to get bogged down and nothing will get done, and where very little get done or finalized. And so I tend to think the incremental approach at this point is the best way to go in my mind. But I didn't know we were specifically going to talk. I knew we were going to talk in general about this, but since you put it forward, I favor the incremental approach. I really think we'd get bogged down on a full review. I think if there's obviously an election next year, and a full review of the official plan could easily take place fairly quickly after any changes on council might occur. So thank you. Those are my comments. I don't know whether there's other policies that I've missed, but that's sort of my general feeling on it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Other councilors, Councilor McEwen.
Councilor Mayor, I agree with Councilor Lamb that an incremental approach would probably be best approach. Trying to work outside a full OP and bylaw review updates and all that, which are so all encompassing and take so much time and commitment and effort. I think if Mr. Jackson could summarize and put together his comments based on our special meeting and the articles that have come in during and since, and give us some kind of direction and put some purpose to which items we should be focusing on. The trailer bylaw, I agree also that we should get some direction on that. I think a lot of clarity, or a lot of the issues around trailers has been the maybe confusion between the official plan and the way some of the bylaws are worded. And I guess that holds true for the back lots as well. So trying to marry policies, whether they be official plan, clearing up official plan and the bylaws jointly. But an incremental approach, I think, would give it would serve it better. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Woods, if I could.
Go ahead, Councilor Woods.
Me personally, I think the incremental approach might do us a little bit better. Opening up the official plan is a great big task, and I agree with the rest of the council. You know, it'd bog us down. We might not get to some other things. Maybe it turns into the next term of council, and at least with the incremental approach, especially, you know, the trailers bylaw. I mean, there was a lot of discussion, although at our public meeting, there wasn't a lot of people that signed on about it, but trailers are an ongoing issue. And I think we can make some changes that would immediately satisfy some of the issues that we've been having. As far as the backlots, I mean, this has been getting talked about for quite a number of years. And I think if we do the incremental approach, we could focus our time on specific ones and try and get it to where we actually need it and where everyone in the municipality would like to see, rather than doing a whole official plan review. I think we'd do better work if we followed the incremental approach, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask our CAO then, because I think we are on track really to continue what we were doing with those two official plan amendments and try to, as has been suggested already, I think we already asked our planner to consolidate the comments that have been made and the concerns that have been raised, and come back with something further to us. So I'll just ask our CAO and John Jackson, if you wish, do you feel the need for any further direction from council at this point, or can we do, in other words, do we need to pass a council direction of some sort to staff, or are we okay to go?
I think that through your worship, the roadmap for OPA number 2 is pretty much established. So to carry that forward, I think an analysis of the public meeting input would be part of that, and I could present that as soon as I could get it to the municipality, and that applies to both components, the trailer and the lots of record that are not fronting on a year-round road or non-waterfront. So I think the direction's there. Maybe I could let Michelle speak to it specifically, because she usually gives me that sort of further direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam CAO.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's clear. Council discussed this in general at the original meeting, and even though John left a little bit early, he wasn't aware there was going to be a few more comments. He has access to the audio. I think that the direction is clear, that create some criteria to assess the comments, the incremental approach, and John will consolidate comments and come back with a report to council. I'm guessing, you know, by year end, John, or is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do this. Let's get to it. Thank you.
There's 3 more council meetings this year, so we'll plan for that maybe into December. But yeah, I'm clear, and I'll provide some clerk notes in the minutes and for a little bit more clarity.
Right. Well, thank you very much. If there's nothing further, I'll ask for a motion then to reconvene to open session, and we'll carry on with our agenda.
I'll move, Council McEwen.
Thank you,
I'll
Councillor.
second Councillor Lamb.
Thank you. At this meeting, we reconvene to an open session at 7:54 p.m. Is anyone opposed? All right, thank you. We're back to our consent agenda. And for the consent agenda, we have just, we have minutes for the special council meeting minutes of Thursday, September the 30th. That was the one about the official plan amendments, and the regular council meeting minutes of Monday, October 4th, 2021. And we do not have the minutes of October 12th. Am I correct, Madam CAO? Michelle?
My apologies, I was talking to no one. Yes, that is correct. They didn't make it to the agenda.
Okay.
Oh,
that's
no,
what
I'm
I
sorry,
thought.
they are there. Sorry, they are. 10.1.3. They are there. It was the closed session minutes of that meeting that didn't make it to the agenda, but the open session is there. Very brief.
Right. On the 12th,
Yeah, so it's,
okay, but I don't believe those, that was a closed meeting, right?
it was a closed meeting, Mr. Mayor, but there was a component of it that was open. So the roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, the minutes are then in the package, are they?
That's correct, yes.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Yeah, because it was a closed meeting, I thought, oh, well, there's no, but yeah, there was an item that came forward from that. Okay, so, all right, I apologize. Okay, so we do in fact have three minutes, and then we have unfinished business. So that's the consent agenda. Would someone like to move that consent agenda be received and or approved?
I'll move.
Councillor Gorham Matthews, seconded by
I'll second Councilor McEwen.
thank you. Sorry, I'm just making a note here. All right, so now, is there any discussion of any of those items? Is there any objection to the motion? All right. Consent agenda is approved, and I take it there is no business arising from the consent agenda. Which brings us to accounts payable. Could someone move, please, that the council of the municipality of Whitestone approve accounts payable in the amount of $506,492.10 and payroll in the amount of $28,056.06 for payment?
I'll move, Councillor Lamb.
Thank you.
I'll second Councillor Woods.
Lamb move, Councillor Lamb seconds. Any discussion or questions or comments about any of these items? If not, I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Gorham Matthews,
Yes.
Councillor Lamb,
Yes.
Councillor McEwen,
Yes.
Councillor Woods,
Yes.
Mayor Comrie.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion is carried.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to item 13. Staff reports. 13.1 is a memo regarding the disposition of ashes at the landfill sites. And the motion, I'll show you what I have so far, that the Council of the Municipality of Whitestone hereby receives staff memo entitled Disposing of Ashes at the Landfill Sites for Information Purposes, and that Council approves the following in respect of ashes being deposited at the landfill site and that this direction be inserted into the, excuse me, into the waste management bylaw. So I guess what we need to do is we need to have a, we need to have a discussion about what it is exactly that we want to put into there, but as it seems to me from the previous discussion, there were two options, and we asked our manager of public works to do a little survey of the neighboring municipalities to see what they did, and he provided that information to us. So the choices are: do not accept ashes at all. And I think the other option was to accept cold ashes and deposit them into a secure metal container at the landfill site, so that they're not just being, dumped in with regular waste. Would someone like to make a motion that would like to add to the end of the motion that I read to you one of those specific things, and we can test this? I mean, I'm not sure we need to have a long discussion, but we need to see what the will of council is.
I'll make the motion, Councillor Lamb.
Okay, what are you suggesting, Council, that should go on the end of it?
Option 2, which is a metal or container at each of the landfill sites where ashes could be deposited and then safely put into the landfill site once we're assured that there's no risk of fires. I think that was option 2 that you suggested. Yeah.
It is up.
Thank you.
Ashes. I'll read back to you what I'm writing down of what you said here, but.
Mr. Mayor, you must be talking beside your mic. Away from your mic.
Yeah, I apologize, Councilor McEwen. Yes, I'm writing and I'm off to the side of I'm using the mic in my computer tonight instead of my headset. But the way I have worded what Councilor Lamb just said was a container, this direction be inserted, and that council approves the following in respect of ashes being deposited at the landfill sites, and that this direction be inserted into the waste management bylaw. And there's a colon after that. And then what I've written added to it is a container be established at each landfill site where ashes can be deposited securely until we can be sure they are out. Does that cover what you said?
Yeah, I would just put cold ashes when you say ashes, that receptacle for cold ashes.
Or cold ashes.
We don't want people bringing hot ashes to put in the container.
Okay, yeah, I like the word receptacle. Receptacle at each landfill site. Yeah, all right. So is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second.
I would
Councillor Woods.
second that.
Okay, I think Councillor Woods was first, maybe, so we'll I'll take him. Is there any further discussion about this?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to let you know that our manager, Dave Creaser, is on the line now. You may want to.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't notice that. Does anyone have any questions? Since David is here, does anyone have any questions for him about his report? It sounds like not. So I guess we disturbed your piece for nothing, David. But thank you for for coming anyway. In case you didn't hear, we have a motion that basically is to establish a receptacle at each landfill site where cold ashes can be deposited securely until we can be sure they're out. So that's what's on the, well, it's been moved and seconded, and there is an opportunity still for other councilors who wish to speak to it too, or against it.
Mr. Mayor,
I had Councillor McEwen first and then Councillor Gorham Matthews.
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I would suggest that we look at a unit that will be an assisting dumping item or a sort of containment. I've seen them sort of like a cement mixer kind of thing. So employees can dump without hurting themselves, dump with ease. And I guess it goes without saying, ashes will probably be dumped in a safe location at the landfill to boot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gorham Matthews.
sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to add that, I think that this is the safest solution. It'll prevent people from trying to sneak their ashes over the hill. If we provide them with a proper receptacle, then hopefully we mitigate some of the concerns from our fire chief about fire hazards at the landfill from accepting ashes.
Okay, thank you. So that sounds like the consensus on this one. Is anyone opposed to this motion? Hearing none, I will declare it carried, and we can proceed to add that to the landfill bylaw. Next, we have a couple of business matters. The first one is the holiday office and landfill schedule for this coming Christmas, New Year's period. And I will turn this over to our CAO.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a schedule that council sees every year, and for the municipal office and the landfill, we note what days we're going to close. So as you can see, we'll be closed, recommended closed Friday, December 24th through to the next week and on to January 3rd, and reopen again on Tuesday, January 4th. And of course, other than stat holidays or holidays defined in the collective agreement, staff uses vacation. Public works staff kind of come and go if needed, but if we give them a chance to get a few days off, they like to take it with their family. The landfill this year will be closed obviously Saturday, December 25th and 26th. They're normally closed on Tuesday. They'll reopen they'll be open on Tuesday and Thursday the next week, and closed on Saturday, January 1st, open on January 2nd. So that's the proposed schedule for this coming holiday season.
All right, thank you. Would someone like to move that that council approve this schedule?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Gorham Matthews, thank you. Seconded by
I'll second Councillor Lamb.
thank you, Councillor Lamb. Is there any discussion, any questions or comments about the schedule? All right then, is there any opposition to this motion? Okay, thank you. It's carried. That is our schedule. And now looking a little further ahead, we have a proposed schedule for 2022. In fact, we have a couple of proposed schedules for 2022, depending on whether or not the council wishes to continue the current practice of staying staying on Mondays, except when Monday's a holiday. So once again, perhaps I will just ask if our CAO clerk has any comments she wants to make to introduce this, and then
I will.
we'll see what
Thank you,
people
Mr.
think about
Mayor.
it.
This is a normal time of year. We like to post the council meeting schedule. It lets people plan ahead far enough in advance to manage other meetings that they may have. It occurred to me that, and this was entirely my thought process, that a Tuesday meeting might be agreeable to council, and a couple of reasons. We released the council agenda Thursday night electronically to council. Most of our councillors pick it up on Friday at some point, and I know that there's people appreciate having a hard copy to go through. Sometimes there's questions. Having the meeting on Tuesday gives councillors just a little bit more time to go through the agenda, ask questions of staff, and be prepared, especially when there's a lot of planning items or staff reports. Gives the public an extra day to visit the agenda and the package. It's agreeable to the clerk's office, although the Monday works fine for us, but it gives us an extra day to prepare the resolutions, make any additions that we need to. So it was just a thought process. What I wasn't sure of in talking, I did send an email out to councillors, didn't get any feedback. I did talk to Councillor Lamb today, and he was agreeable to either schedule, but I don't know if any of the other committees that council's members are involved with would conflict with the Tuesday. And that was kind of an outstanding piece on this. So I just offered it up as an opportunity to change things up a bit. Instead of moving to Tuesdays when we have a stat holiday, it'll be a standard meeting day. It's not a problem for our planning consultant. I spoke with him on this, and he works with McKellar, but they are the second Tuesday of the month. So that doesn't, and they only have one meeting a month, so that doesn't interfere with McKellar, and it doesn't interfere with any of the other clients. So I'll just pass it over to council to consider and make a decision either way. And we'll get this posted on the website once the decision is made.
Mr. Mayor, Council McEwen.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I'm actually quite keen on the Tuesday meeting. I've often commented that after a weekend, and especially if you're away or whatever happened in the weekend, you come back and you have to be getting into gear for a meeting on Monday night. As long as it fits okay with people who are not here, as I'm here pretty much full time all the time, I can work quite handily on Tuesday nights if it works out all right for the rest of council. Thank you.
Is there anyone who would have a problem with doing it on Tuesday night?
Mr. Mayor?
Well, sorry, Councillor Gorham Matthews had her hand up first, so.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm fine either way. With being on the planning board and the Chamber of Commerce, they're all on Monday nights as well. So I don't have a Monday night off unless there's a fifth Monday in a month. So I wouldn't be adverse to switching to Tuesdays then and mixing things up. Just have to remind myself to come in on Tuesdays.
Okay, Councillor Lamb, you had a comment?
Yeah, I'm okay with either time, but Tuesday is fine with me. I just want to ensure that we continue to stay on the schedule of getting the agenda on Thursday emailed to us and then, publicized on Friday. I'd hate to see it move move forward to Monday and that we get the information. So as long as we stay on the current schedule of when we get it, and the Wednesday is the last day, I think, for submissions for items on the agenda. As long as that part doesn't change, then I'm okay with the Tuesday. Thank you.
All right. That would be pretty much my comment. Doesn't make a big difference to me, and there's no intention to change when I understand from our CAO, there's no suggestion that we would change when the materials actually go out. So it kind of sounds like that's emerging as a consensus. I don't know, Councillor Woods. I'm
okay either way, Mr. Mayor. Monday night or Tuesday night, no problem. I think there is some advantages to the Tuesday night though. If it works for everybody else, yeah, I don't have a problem with Tuesday nights.
Well, I don't hear anybody that's opposed to it. So could I get a mover and seconder, please, that the council approve the council meeting schedule? That's the second one, the Tuesdays. As
I'll
opposed
move,
to
Councillor
Monday.
McEwen.
Councillor McEwen has moved, and a seconder.
I'll second, Councillor Woods.
Thank you, Councillor Woods. Any further discussion on this one? All right, then, I think we have an answer to that particular item. And then we had an item 14.3 that we added when we approved the agenda. And this was Councillor Gorham Matthews' items, with an item that she raised, which she about the possibility of mailing something with our November newsletter. So I'll just let you speak to that, Beth, if you don't mind.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I did check with our CAO today, and because we don't have a tax bill or anything going out with the newsletter, there is space in the envelope without increasing the amount that would cost to mail it out. And so I thought it was a good opportunity to address a question that I've seen come up a lot on Facebook, on the social media this summer. A lot of people have been asking questions about septic health, when to get their septics pumped and such. So there is this brochure that we can get that comes from the Wastewater Association, and it just addresses different things about your septic system and keeping it healthy. And I think it's important too to keep in mind that a lot of our ratepayers are used to in their homes being part of a city-based septic program, as opposed to having a septic tank. And there's different rules and things that you should follow to keep it healthy. So I think it would just be a good prelude to some of the things that might be coming forward from the Environmental Stewardship Committee with regards to septic health. So that's why I thought it might be a good time to include this brochure in with our newsletter, just for ratepayers information. And I apologize for adding it late. I just wasn't sure if we waited till the November 1st meeting, if that would give staff enough time to order the brochures, depending when they were going to be ready to mail out the newsletter.
Okay, so
sorry. I was just going to add that I did email everybody the pamphlets so they could look at it prior to the meeting.
So would you like to move that the council of the municipality of Whitestone add a flyer on septic systems maintenance from the Wastewater Association to our November newsletter mailing? Something to that
Yes,
effect.
please.
With it. Okay.
Yep.
Is there a seconder for that?
I'll second, Councillor McEwen.
Thank you. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering if we could get a copy of that sent to us electronically for councillors, and probably it could go on the social media.
Is it, did you email it to everybody, Councillor Gorham Matthews?
Yes, I did. I emailed it this afternoon.
Oh. I saw the email, but I didn't see the,
There's
There's a
been an-
link that you can click on.
okay, I will revisit. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Councillor Lamb.
Yeah, I'm completely in support of sending this out. But I just had a question, Beth. The years ago, the Whitestone conservation people had in terms of septic health, they had a tablet that you could put down your toilet, I thought. And if your septic wasn't working properly, it would illuminate the soil. I don't know what color it was, but has that gone by way of the dodo bird, or is that still?
No, that's still available.
Okay. And is that a reliable enough thing? I mean, it's easy for people to put something down, get them, put them, flush them down their toilet or whatever, and they should see if there's any major problems, I would think. Is that a reliable method, or do you know?
I couldn't speak to that. I think it is a method, but it's certainly not the only one. I think Dennis could probably speak more to that. I don't think he's on the call tonight, but yeah, I don't know how reliable that is, but it is still available. You were able to get it out from the library. You could have the tablet, and I think there's a light that you could rent that you shone. But yeah, I would have to get back to you about how reliable that is.
But the tablets are available from the library, you say?
Yeah, that's where they used to be available from.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be something we should put in a newsletter or something at some point. Again, you don't have to put it in this newsletter, but
Yeah.
that's a valuable thing for people. I know we did it. We being at our place, we did it way back. I haven't done it recently because I thought it was a one-time sort of program. I didn't realize you could get it from the library. So I'll get one and test it.
Yeah, I'll confirm that. Yeah, I'll confirm that with Dennis and get back out to council. If it is still there and they are still doing it, and I believe they are, then we'll be sure to add it to one of the future newsletters.
Sure, thank you.
Councillor McEwen, were you going to make a comment?
No, I was clear on this one.
Okay, sorry. I'm at the risk of overcomplicating things, I have a couple of comments. The particular pamphlet that Beth circulated came from a group which is an advocacy body for people who belong to a particular association who are effectively trying to, it's an advocacy body, and what they're trying to do, of course, is they're trying to say you should have your septic tank pumped by out and or inspected by a professional, and a quote unquote professional, because they're not they are all licensed, but the folks who are licensed to do it by the Ministry of Environment don't have to belong to that particular association. And the only reason I bring that up is that there's a whole lot of other things that useful things that they could tell people. And I remember some years ago, we used to, in fact, they maybe still do, the Washakish Conservation Association had a pamphlet that was produced, I think, by North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority. And they are the ones who, by the way, who do septic inspections when you need one for a building permit or whatever. They do them in Whitestone. That's who actually does them. they provide it as a service, which you pay for, of course. And they had issued this pamphlet, and it talks about a whole bunch of other things that you can do to determine whether your septic system is working properly, and how you can test if it isn't, and how often it needs to be pumped out, that sort of thing. So there's a little bit of that in this particular publication, but there was more information in the one that we used to hand out to people on Mawashkesh, I know, and it's the number one problem with septic systems. I'll just tell you this, and the number one problem is that people install them and forget them. And if you installed it in a reasonable, and reasonably recently, like if you installed it 50 years ago, who knows whether the likelihood that it's still operating correctly is questionable. Depends where it is, but depends on a whole lot of factors. But if you installed it recently, it was probably installed in the right place and installed correctly because you needed a permit. And the people the people from the Conservation Authority make sure of that before they give you the approval. But eventually, after a period of time, if you don't pump it out, the septic tank actually fills up with solids, and then what happens is the raw sewage just goes out onto the tile field, and then it plugs the tile field. So the critical thing is that there is certain maintenance that has to be done. The new ones all have filters in them, the old ones didn't, but then the last 15 years or so, they've all had filters in them. So you have to at least somebody who pumps it out is supposed to examine the filter and, if necessary, clean it out and put it back. So there's all these kinds of things that people don't realize, and they tend to just forget it. So I don't know. I think it's a very useful thing to put something out there, but there's probably some other information that we could add to it, or there might even be some that is actually, there may be some material that's been produced by others that's better than that particular one. I hadn't seen that particular one before, but I've seen other ones that are have a little bit more information. So anyway, I throw that out for what it's worth. I guess the motion that we have is really to include something on maintenance of septic systems, and perhaps we could look up offline if there's something more that could be added to it, because the piece from the association is not all that big, right? Might be room for more.
So, I'm completely agreeable to looking at a different type of brochure as long as we include something. This is the brochure that is on the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Association website now.
Oh, is it there now? All right. Well,
yeah,
maybe
this is what I found on there. So,
oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. The format of the one I had was more like, it was several 8.5 by 11 sheets together, is my recollection. Mm-hmm. Anyway, look, I don't want to. I'm really speaking in support of the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I might make a comment now. The ad hoc committee for environmental stewardship, which is heading up the septic, the thrust rate at this point in time and for the near future is education. So yeah, I think that's where Beth brought this forward from.
Oh,
just to get a head start on it. And I'm sure there'll be more coming from them when they've done some more work on it and discussion around it. But a lot of the thrust throughout the issue or around the issues from that committee, the stewardship committee, is education in a big way. So this is kind of a beginning kickoff. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So is there any further discussion on this item? Is anyone opposed to the motion? Okay, I think that is carried. Thank you. So We have correspondence. So would someone like to move that council, whereas council has reviewed the correspondence items listed on page 5 of the October 18th, 2021 council agenda, now therefore be it resolved that council received the correspondence items for information with the following extracted for further discussion or action. Who would like to move that?
I'll move, Councillor Woods.
Councillor Woods moves, seconded
I'll
by,
sec- I'll second Councillor Lamb.
all right, thank you. And of those particular items that you have there, which ones, if any, would you like to talk about? I'm not hearing any. Are there any particular
for me.
ones? Okay. All right, well, it sounds like there aren't any, so I'm gonna write none. And once again, I'll ask if there's anyone opposed to that motion, just to receive them for information. Okay, that's all right. There are no matters arising from correspondence. Councillor items. Does any councillor have an item you wish to raise? Do you have your hand up, Councillor Lamb?
Nope.
Okay, I see your raised hands. Oh, it's gone now. Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. So there are no councillor items then. And are there any questions from the public? I don't know if we have any members of the public who are left who are not councillors. I don't think I see any, so we'll just record that there were no questions from the public. That brings us to our confirming bylaw. Who would like to move that?
I'll move it, Councillor Lamb.
Thank you. Seconded by
I'll second, Councillor Woods.
Councillor Woods. Bylaw 45, 2021, the confirmatory bylaw for the council meeting on Monday, October 18th, 2021, be given the first, second, third, and final reading and is passed as of this date. Any opposition? Thank you. That's carried. How about adjournment?
I'll move, Councillor McEwen.
Councillor McEwen moves, seconded by
I'll second.
Councillor Gorham Matthews. I see you. So it is 8:34. So not too late. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will meet again on November the 1st. It is November 1st, right? Yes. Day after Halloween. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, folks.